I'm on my way up the Feith Buidhe, which you can see on the left here, to the Cairngorm Plateau on a beautiful April afternoon. You can see there is Stop Corrian Trekt around to Cairn, both of them still with a lot of snow plastering the cliffs. And you can see that in the gap between the two there, you can see where the goat track climbs up to the plateau. I won't be going that way, it's still heavily banked up with snow, and it looks like there's a bit of cornice at the top. It's lovely sitting here in the sunshine, sheltered however from a cold east wind by a big boulder, and I am going to put my wind shirt on before I continue. It is still mid-April, not mid-July, and here's the view looking round to Lurcher's Gully and Lurcher's Crag. Not much snow left over there. I'll swing back round over the northern corries again, shining beautifully in the sunshine. And my plan, once I get to the top of the ridge here, is to cross the plateau and descend down to probably camp somewhere near Loch, where I hope there'll be a bit of shelter from this wind. Anyway, time to get the wind shirt on and continue upwards. Sheltering behind the big cairn at the top of the Feith Ridge. The wind is colder up here. I've now got hat and gloves on as well as the wind shirt, but the light is beautiful and the mountains magnificent as I swing round over Loch, Cairn in the distance. Stop Corrian Trekt. Looks as though there's a bit of cloud on Ben Dewy, and there's my ice axe, which I needed briefly on the way up. Maybe the last time I use it this year, maybe not. In fact, there's enough snow looking over there that I'll probably need it tomorrow anyway. Oh, and the sun's coming out again. Well, it's time to push on across the plateau to Corridovan and find somewhere to camp. Camped in Corridovan, reasonably out of the wind here, but it's now getting misty and the temperature's dropping, so I think it's time to get some water, get inside and get the stove going. If I swing round, you can see roughly where I am. Well, you can see patches of snow and water and mist. I had a look at the descent down to Loch, which is in the mist over there, but there's an awful lot of snow, so it might prove awkward, and I thought probably not a good idea when it's evening. It will be dark in an hour or so. I don't want to be stuck halfway down a steep descent in the mist, in the dark at the end of the day. So I decided to camp here, which is a nice flat grassy spot, and hopefully it'll all look wonderful and the mist will have cleared in the morning. Anyway, now to get some water and get inside. I'm just going to light the Primus Lite Ultra stove. This is the first trip for this model, but I have used it once this evening when I made water for some cuppa soup, and this time I'm boiling about 230 ml water for this 5 minutes to deli meal, which is their tasting table, which seems to be, you know, limited edition meals that when you buy a whole collection of them, one of them is one of these, and this is a dish called upma or upma, which is a semolina based curry. I'm curious to see what it's like, but first of all let's get the stove going and some water boiling. Oh, well, it's lit okay. It's got the pot locks on. Turn it up. It is very, very quiet, this stove. It may not be quite as powerful as some other gas burners, but it's nice it being so quiet. I think, in fact, I'm quite happy to put up with, you know, a minute or two extra for water to come to the boil if it doesn't sound like a rocket taking off. When I boiled the water for the soup earlier, I could actually hear the water starting to come to the boil, which with some stoves you really can't, because the noise of the stove is so loud. This one, yep, I have to keep checking that it's still actually lit. It's so quiet. And it's not, you know, it's a 3-season stove. I think this is not ideal conditions. The last time I looked, the temperature was minus 0.8 and the water is snow melt from an icy stream. No, I can't quite hear anything yet. I'm not sure if it's coming to the boil, but hopefully it won't take too long. And then this has to be added to it and then left for, it says 5 to 7 minutes. It says put it in a bowl. I'll put it in the pot. One thing with that is if it cools down a bit too much, I can easily heat it up again. I can hear the water starting to boil now. Just. I'll start looking out for some steam. Yeah, I can see a bit of steam now. I'm going to need my other headlamp to see the water, I think. Maybe not. Yep, that is boiling. So that was pretty quick, I think. So twist and lift. I do like this system. It's very secure and it's easy to get it on and off. So now let's tip this into the water. Give it a stir. And put the lid on, and I think, although I won't turn it on again, put it back on the stove, because the stove will still be warm and that'll keep a bit of heat for it. And now I'd better find my, there is my phone, so I can roughly time it. Looking out, it looks like the mist has lifted very slightly, but it's still overcast. I can't see any stars, or just as I say that, a crescent moon appears briefly. It's gone again. There's a small gap in the clouds. So the forecast was for some clouds overnight and in the morning, but then clearing tomorrow morning to give another sunny day, which will be excellent. And the cold east wind continuing. Well, I think I'll stop recording for now, wait and have the meal, and I'll come back and say what it was like later. The temperature in here is up to 5 degrees now, so chilly but not as cold as it was. There's still ice in the water, and I'm about to put porridge on to heat and see how well this little Primus stove simmers. So let's get it lit. It has been working pretty well, given that it's been sitting here outside all night and the temperature dropped to -1. So overall, I'm quite impressed with it. And there we have it lit. That's it. Get the pot on. Don't turn it up because it's porridge. Oh, we need to keep stirring. The 5 minutes to deli meal I had last night, the upma or UPMA, I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, was okay. It's not one I'd choose again. There's an odd consistency. Well, semolina, which I haven't eaten in decades, and which I remember as being a pudding dish, very sweet. This, however, was a curry dish, which has got in it tomato, green peas, curry leaves, sunflower oil, white lentils, peanuts, salt, mustard seeds, cumin, black pepper, green chilli, lemon juice. But it's 67% semolina. 5 minutes to deli describe it as mild. I would say it's moderately hot, certainly a bit more spicy than mild, but then one of their moderate dishes that I've had, I would describe as hot. So I am learning how to interpret what they mean. Now, let's see if I can turn this down a little. The water is now boiling. The porridge is thickening. Yeah, no. A little more. A little more still. Now, it's practically off and still boiling. I don't think this is going to be a brilliant stove for simmering, but I think the porridge might be slightly stuck. We will see. And now I will add some dried milk and dried fruit and have my breakfast. Now, the porridge was nice and filling, and it looks as though, yep, there is some blue sky appearing, and I can see a couple of walkers going past some distance away. I'll say the porridge was good. It didn't stick very much, and the pot was easy to clean, so it is feasible to use this stove for making porridge. Turning it down is difficult because, as with other stoves like this, one of the problems is you can't see the flame very well. So you can't see how much you've turned it down, and it's easy to turn it off by mistake. But as I say, that applies to any of these stoves where the pot, locks on closely to the burner. Anyway, I think it's time to have a look at what's happening outside and make my second cup of coffee and pack up. I've had the door closed mostly to keep the wind off. It's shifted slightly. It's more southeast now, and unfortunately, from the way I've pitched the tent, it's now blowing in this way. But there is blue sky, so yep, it's time to get organised to move on. I grab the camera and point it out of the door. You can see that it's much brighter now. So let us get organised. A look at my camp from outside, and the sky is just beginning to clear, and I'm hoping it will clear completely, and I'm intending, I think, now to go up that way and then left round that way, if it stays clear, to Benmacdooey, and then back again across the other side of Cairngorm, that's the edge of Cairngorm there, and back to Corrycass that way. The wind was gusty during the night, woke me a couple of times, but you know, the temp was fine. And looking that way, south and east, there's still a bit more cloud, so we'll see what happens. It's a pleasant day, and it's great as always to be up high in the Cairngorms anyway. So now to pack up and move on. I've wandered over the top of Helmslorgan's Crag. I'll shortly go a bit further down and have a look at Loch, which I can just see from here. The difference in how much snow there is on southern and western slopes and northern and eastern slopes is enormous. This is looking to Cairngorm, and I swing round, a slight glimpse of Loch, but there's Ben Vane, and round over Cairngorm, Shelterstone Crag, Derry Cairngorm, and then Benmacdooey, which, as you can see, is still plastered with snow. I'm now on the edge of big snowbanks falling down into the Loch Basin. I'm not going any lower than this. This is swinging round from Cairngorm. There's Loch itself, Ben Vane. I'll come down a bit to show the snow, and that's Shelterstone Crag, and round, and there's the Feith Buidhe, part of it out of the snow, and back round, and then going up, you can see again north top of Benmacdooey. A spectacular scene in perfect weather conditions. And another view as I wander round the edge of the drops down into the Loch Basin, and all this snow, that's looking over the top of the Helmslorgan Crags to Cairngorm. You can just see the weather station, then swinging round, it's over Stag Rocks, and then Loch, Ben Vane, Cairngorm, Shelterstone Crag, and round over the Feith Buidhe, which is under that snow nearest to me, and then the slopes of Ben Macdui, the summit still out of sight. I've just met Gary Hodgson of Tarmacum Mountaineering, who, appropriate enough, was out here hoping to photograph some ptarmigan. He's the only person I've met to speak to today. I have seen a few other people, but they've always been a long distance away. Gary I've met here and in the Monolith quite a few times over the years, as both of us are regular walkers in these regions. Anyway, glorious though this view is, and how blue is Loch, often black in colour, but it's really bright blue today. But as I say, glorious though the view is, I do have to move on, so I will now be leaving this behind and heading up beside the Feith Buidhe to Loch Buidhe. And just beyond that, of course, a good view down the Larrig Garoo. And the wind has dropped. It really is a perfect day. Time for a sit down and just drink in this wonderful view of snow, rock, mountain, listen to the burns crashing down from the snowfields, look at the cliffs, and just enjoy being in this spectacular place. It's not often you can sit outside high up on the Cairngorm Plateau in mid-April, not without needing warm clothing and usually a boulder or something to shelter behind. But today the wind has dropped completely, which wasn't forecast, so for once I'm glad the forecast was wrong. The sun is warm, the sky is blue, and this is just such a wonderful place to be. I can't imagine anywhere else I could possibly want to be than here when it's like this. This is the high Cairngorms at their very best. I just love it. I've seen this view so many times before, and I never tire of it. I could sit here for hours. However, I can't. I'll have to pack up soon and move on. But first, some more water, and then I think another flapjack bar. Bit of energy for moving on up to Loch Buidhe, and then round Cairngorm and down to Corrie Cass. And this is the view from my rock seat, swinging round over Carnetchkin, Shelterstone Crag, and round towards the north top of Ben Macdui, and right the way round to the shallow glen of the Feith Buidhe, and in the distance there, Brereach. Just a wonderful view. Here is the Feith Buidhe, sparkling in the sun and very full with snow melt. A lovely waterway. Crossing snow bridges today requires great care. This is a feeder burn of the Feith Buidhe. I crossed it above these crack lines and managed not to go through. As you can see, the snowbanks are really quite deep. Loch and Buidhe, more than half hidden under snow and ice, and there you can see the main paths coming off Ben Macdui, with people going up and coming down. This is the closest to Macdui I'm going. I'm now going to swing right, and there's Brer Riach, but go that way over the shoulder of Cairngorm. This is the headwaters of the March Burn, which drops steeply over there into the Lerrig Garoo, and you can see Brer Riach in the distance. And I'm now heading up to the right, and we'll soon be leaving the plateau after this wonderful day. The wind drowned out my audio as I looked down into the Lerrig Garoo. It was rushing up from the depths below, and it followed me as well as I walked along the edge of the Lerrig and then started to head down the shoulder of Cairngorm. And so in the second clip here, you can see the cliffs of Cairngorm, which are spectacular, still plastered with snow, but it was only when I got well past them that the wind dropped enough that it was worth trying to record any audio again. I'm almost back down, and I've just come out of the strong cold wind that hit me as soon as I descended from the plateau. And all the way down from there has been this wind hurrying me along. But finally I seem to have got below it, and I'm now looking up to some extent where I've been. Can't see most of it, but up there you can see the Feith Ridge, which is where I went up yesterday afternoon. And then swinging round, there's Cairngorm. I came across the right shoulder of that, and here's the ridge I've just descended in the wind. And now swinging back round, I'm heading for the Gorikas car park. You can see in the distance over there. I'm almost on a level with it, and that will be the end of this fantastic walk. And I hope you've enjoyed watching my little video.